Hey guys, what's up? So let's go over these notes. Happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. By the way, I kind of miss telling you guys that and seeing you guys every day. So, all right, let's go into this. Um, these problems are pretty much the same as those trig problems we did before spring break. We just got to create the triangle now from a real life situation. So our objectives today are understand what the angle of elevation and angle of depression is. Okay, so once you know that, then you can build your triangle, your right triangle, a lot easier. Then you use those angles and the triangle that you created in these real life situations to create a diagram of the situation, again, involving a right triangle. And then once you have your triangle, you just solve it the way you did before using sine, cosine, or tangent. Okay, so let's go into looking into what is a angle of elevation. What's an angle of elevation? So if you look here, a person's looking from the ground and looking up at a building, you got two lines. The first line is the line from their eyes to the actual object. That's called the horizontal. Okay, it goes straight looking to the building. And then you're looking at the top. So your eyeballs look towards the top of whatever you're measuring. In this case, it's a building. And that line from your eyeball to the top is called your well, it's basically your hypotenuse, right? It's your line of sight. Okay, so your hypotenuse, but it's just your line of sight. And then those two lines with the building, if you go straight down, create your right triangle. Now we were going to actually go out into go around the school. We were going to build these little clinometers with these protractors so we could measure that angle, and we were going to measure the heights of the buildings and stuff. It was going to be really fun, but again, we can't do that now. So we're just going to look on paper and try to figure these out. So you got a person looking at an object, in this case a building. From your eyeballs to the object is your horizontal. From your eyeballs to the top of the object is the line of sight. And then the actual object, in this case the building, creates the third side, and there's your right triangle. And that angle formed right here between the horizontal and the line of sight, that's called your angle of elevation, because you're actually looking at the object and then your head goes up. It elevates to the line of sight line. So that's your angle of elevation. And if you know your angle of elevation, or if you know any distances there, you can plug them in. All you need is two, right? All you need is two measurements, either an angle or a side, or both, and then you can create your triangle. So let's try example number 1. So the angle of elevation from a fishing boat to the top of a lighthouse is 5 degrees. If the top of the lighthouse is 161 feet above sea level, how far is the boat from the lighthouse? So you gotta draw a picture. Don't have to draw fancy pictures. You can draw dots to represent the things. That's what I'm gonna do. So we have a fishing boat. So here's a fishing boat, and I'll label that fishing boat. And then we have a lighthouse. You guys ever seen a lighthouse? It's usually at a shore. It's this tall structure that has a light at the top to make sure, hey, boats, don't come here because you're going to crash into land. So we look at the top of a lighthouse. So here's the lighthouse. Here's the top of the lighthouse. Okay, and then here's the water. Right, so we're going to go straight to the lighthouse. That's our horizontal. And then I'm going to go from the boat to the top of the lighthouse. Okay, that's my line of sight. So that angle I just created right here is my angle of elevation. And did they tell us what that is? It says the angle of elevation from a fishing boat to the top of a lighthouse is 5 degrees. So that means right here is 5 degrees. So now I know that's 5 degrees. I have one. So I need one other measurement. So hopefully they gave that to me. If the top of the lighthouse is 161 feet above sea level. So if we look here, this is the top of the lighthouse, and sea level, that's the water. So it's 161 feet above that, so that means this must be 161 feet. So now I have a triangle. Now if you want to make it a little cleaner, you can make your triangle look like this, and like this. This is 161 feet. This is 5 degrees. And what do they want to know? How far is the boat from the lighthouse? So they want to know how far is the boat from the lighthouse. So they want to know the horizontal. They want to know this distance. How far is it from the lighthouse? So they want to know this. So that's your x. So now I have a triangle, a right triangle with a angle and with a side, and they want to know another side. So now let's figure out what those sides are in relation to the angle. Are they opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? And once I know that, then I could know which trig ratio I'm going to use. So 5 degrees, I have the side that is opposite, and I have the side that's adjacent. So what trig function is opposite and adjacent? Tangent. So I'm going to use tangent. So tangent of what? Of the angle, right? We always find the trig ratio of an angle because we're always focused on an angle. So the tangent of what angle? 5 degrees. Equals, well, what's tangent? Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Remember TOA from SOHCAHTOA? So opposite is 161 feet. Adjacent is x, so we'll put x. So now, got to solve for x. And once I solve for x, I'll know the length of that side. Let me close my window. So how do I do that? So x is in the denominator. We did this last time. So I'm going to put tangent of 5 degrees over 1, and I'm going to cross multiply. Remember, when you have two ratios equal to each other, you can cross multiply and they're equal to each other. So the tangent of 5 degrees times x. So, oops. So this times this. X times the tangent of 5 degrees equals this times this. 1 times 161 feet. And so now I'm going to divide both sides by tangent of 5 degrees. Tangent of 5 degrees. So the tangent of 5 degrees cancel out. So I get x equals 161 divided by tangent of 5. Well, I just punched that into my calculator. Tangent of 5 degrees. And make sure your calculator is in degree mode. Tangent of 5 degrees. I'm sorry. 161 divided by tangent of 5 degrees. Hit enter and I get 1,840.238, which I will just put 1,840.2 feet. Okay. All right, if you have any questions, don't forget to send them to me on Remind. Okay, send them to me on Remind. So that's angle of elevation. There are 2 other practice problems. I did send you the answers to those, so go ahead and try those on your own. Look at the answers I sent you, and if you don't understand, send me a question on Remind. I will answer it for you. If you want me to make a video going over those 2 problems, you can let me know and I will do that. But right now I want you to practice those 2. Check them out on the answer sheet I gave you. I gave you all the worked out solutions. And if you still don't understand it, please send me a question. Because now we're going to jump to angle of depression. And does not mean you're sad. Doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to create a triangle when I'm sad. Has nothing to do with that. It's an angle of depression. It's all about if you're looking up or if you're looking down. So next page. What is an angle of depression? So now if you look here, the guy is on top of the building looking down at the ground. Okay. So for top of the building, so from the person straight out, there's my horizontal, right? And it's just straight across. And if you look, it's parallel to the ground. So it goes straight across. It doesn't angle down or anything. And now this person's looking down at the ground. His line of sight goes down here. That person has to look down. So it's looking straight, and then he's looking down. The angle goes downward, and that's why they call it an angle of depression, because instead of looking up, he's looking down. But I want to create a triangle with this building, right? And if you remember your geometry, this angle and this angle are congruent because the horizontal and the ground are parallel to each other. So if we have parallel lines and then a line cuts through it, those are alternate interior angles. So this is also equal to your angle of depression. And then there's your right angle. So make sure on angle depressions, make sure you draw a correct picture so you can get the angle in the right place. The angle is not up there. Okay, it's down here. So if you draw a picture, you can see the alternate interior angles. So I'm on top of the building, looking straight. That's my horizontal. Then my line of sight looks down to the ground, creating this angle of depression. But it's equal to the angle that that line of sight makes with the ground because they're alternate interior angles. And now I can use this triangle, this right triangle with the building to get my lengths. So let's look at an example. So if we look at number 4, if a fire is spotted from the top of a 125-foot tall tower. So let's draw a tower, right? So here's a tower. I don't know what towers look like. That's what I imagine a tower looks like. I have no idea. So we're on the top of a tower. And it's 125 foot. So this is 125 feet. The tower is 125 feet tall. So there you go. So let's draw the ground. Right, there's always a ground that's straight. We're always going to assume that the ground is just completely straight and flat so we can create a triangle. I know it's not always perfect like that. So there's a fire down there. So if I look here, let's make the fire orange. There's a fire here, right? That's a fire. Pretend that's a fire. Okay. So now we have something at the top. If you look down at the fire, and then of course we have this horizontal here, and then this would be your angle of depression, right? But that angle of depression is also here. Right? It's also there, the same. So let's see. If the angle of depression is 19 degrees, so that means this is 19 degrees. And since the horizontal is parallel with the ground, this is also 19 degrees. Okay, alternate interior angles. And if you don't remember that, look it up. It's something you learn in geometry. You should have spent a long time on parallel lines and transversals, if you remember. And how far is the fire from the base of the tower? Remember, base of something means the bottom. So how far is the fire from the base of the tower, the bottom of the tower? So we want to know this length right here. That's my X. So if you want, here's your picture. If you want to pull your triangle out of this picture so you just see the triangle, let's do that. Here's the triangle. There's the right angle. This is 19 degrees. This is X, and this is 125 feet. So now again, we have 2 measurements, and we want to find a third. Figure out how these sides that we're interested in are related to the angle that we have. So if we look at 19 degrees, we have the opposite side, and we have the adjacent side. So that's tangent again. So the tangent, remember, we always find tangent of angle. So it's tangent of 19 degrees is the opposite, 125 over the adjacent, which is X. And again, I put tangent 19 degrees over 1, and I cross multiply. So this times this, X times the tangent of 19 degrees equals this times this, 125 times 1. I'm going to divide both sides by the tangent of 19 degrees. Tangent of 19 degrees, cancel, cancel. So X equals 125 over the tangent of 19. And if I punch that into my calculator, 125 divided by tangent of 19 degrees, I get 363.02. So 363.02, and don't forget your units, 02 feet. And that's how far the fire is away from the base of the tower. Again, there's 2 other practice problems for angle of depression. Try those. Look at the work and the answers from the sheet I sent you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send them to me. Okay, I will answer every question. I'm here at home just like you guys, so send those questions. I have time to answer you. So just please send those questions. Try those. If you still don't understand what the work, how the work looks, where the triangle came from, how the drawing is, why is that the angle of depression? If you don't understand anything, send me a question. Okay, but look at that work first. See how they drew it. If you don't understand, please send me a question on Remind. That's pretty much it. You have your practice, which is also due this week. Your activity, it's just one page, and then you have your homework. And then the quiz will be put up on Friday. So all this is due by Sunday. And again, if you need more time, just let me know and I will give you more time. I understand there's so much stuff going on and I have no idea what you're going through at home right now. So if you need extra time, I will give it to you. Just got to let me know. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions, send me on Remind. All right, guys. See you. Yeah. You're lucky you knocked right when I ended my video.
I heard that.